There we are. We are live. Welcome, everyone. Welcome. This is Brad with Paintball Therapy, welcoming the guys from Infamous in Wisconsin, Infamous, to the room. So, guys, welcome. Welcome. We were dealing with a little bit of technical difficulty on another guy who should be joining us shortly. So, typically, how I start each program is to see how you got involved in paintball in the first place, because it just brings us to where we are and what brings us here today. So, Ryan, let's start with you. How did you start in paintball?
How did I start? Pretty much how everybody else has been talking about starting it. Bunch of dudes in the woods, and we got a bunch of spider TLs, and we went out there and had a blast. And after that, it was out at the field every weekend, playing rec. Just playing, getting to know the game, getting to kind of get a feel for the game, and eventually getting picked up by a local team right through the field, Sudden Impact, and Funk's Grove. The Retmeyers out there got picked up by a team there and had maybe one season with them before getting picked up by Psycho Circus, and then played 2 years with them, 2003, 2004, in PPL amateur, and then I retired for 14 years to go to school, and last year was my first year back. So it was kind of a long process of getting back into it, but honestly, I probably wouldn't be back into it if it wasn't for two things. One, my wife telling me to get the hell out of the house, and two, honestly, if Cody wouldn't have had the tryouts, I probably wouldn't have been out at the paintball field. So it just kind of was one of those things that kind of aligned itself, and here we are today. And you guys are ready to play ball this year, and we can't wait to get back on the field.
Wonderful. Cody, how about you?
18 years ago or so, I got a grand opening letter in my mailbox for the Siege Paintball. Okay. And I was living in McWanago, Wisconsin, and was like, hey, got a bunch of the neighborhood kids together. Let's go try this thing out. So we went and drove to the field, rented a gun, bought 500 paintballs, and played for the first time, and I was hooked ever since. Played on a bunch of local teams, from Team Siege to Stinger Factory, and then that which led to Chicago Aftershock. Played on Aftershock from 2008 to 2012-ish, and then Outlaws to Infamous. So quick little roundabout way with Chicago Legend involved in there, and a couple of Canadian teams and all over the place. But here we are today to LA Infamous, and then helping run and coach the Wisconsin Infamous program.
Perfect. We can't get any more succinct than that. It's like you've done it once or twice. Kyle, how about you? How did you get your start?
Let's see. A while ago, I went with a group of people from my gym. That was Brew City Paintball. A lot of people went there. Turf was awful, but it was a good time. Thought that was kind of fun. So then I noticed that same Siege Paintball had a big game. So I grabbed one of my buddies from work and said, hey, let's go check this out. And then at the end of the game, they're throwing away prizes, and they throw away a pod. And he's like 6 foot, 6'2", grabs a pod, 2 free memberships for a year. So now I've got a reason to go, because I got a membership, so I get discounted paint and everything on paint and entry and things like that. Started going and realized, like, man, I really want to do this more, organized. So I hopped on PB Nation and said, how do I join a team? And everyone says, you need experience to join a team. How do you get experience? I don't know. Go to the field. So met some guys at the field, and we're all in the same, hey, we want to join a team, but teams don't let you join unless you have experience. So we made our own team. Did that for the first 2 seasons. This was about 5 years ago.
What was the team name?
I was on a team called Majestic, and then Wisconsin Anarchy. We kind of formed that team. We played out of Siege. We played out of Apocalypse, Madison. Did that for a season. All the while, I had been really learning a lot from the Boom program that was playing with Siege as their home field. So I got to meet those guys really well, made a lot of really good friendships, tried out, joined that team, played with Boom Divisional for a year. And then towards the end of that program, I started linking up with Cody, doing clinics and trainings with him and stuff like that. And then he said he started his own program, so I tried out, and here's our second season with Cody.
Wonderful. Mike, I know that we've talked before, but for the advantage of the episode, just give us a overview of how you got started.
Sure. I started young in high school. Birthday party for a buddy at his place. We played on his little woods ball course that he had. I got bunkered, I don't know, later in the day. Barrel was probably about 2 feet from my back. I had welts that stuck out about a half inch from my back. And ever since then, I was hooked. Something about the adrenaline and the pain just really, like, it brought me in. So that was the hook for me. Played, every weekend while I was going through high school. As much as I could, and then joined Team Chain Reaction in 2007. And I was just a bunch of local guys from the area. Played at that time, if I remember correct, PSP Chicago D4. And I think there was like 117 teams or something like that. Yeah. I think we took like 113th. And I was like, cool. Like, I just blew a lot of money and took last. I'm going to get better at this.
Right.
So took a short little break, and then came back, started up another local team called Chaotic. A bunch of people probably know that name. It was around for almost 4 years. Yep. Did a lot of stuff with the D4 program, a bunch of buddies that I grew up just playing every weekend with. We were all friends, and we wanted to play tournament paintball. Played locals. Then we started going to nationals, took that to D3. And that was kind of like the tipping point where I don't know what I'm doing or how to advance past that. And at that point we were playing the VPS series with, up at Vintage Paintball. And, I talked with Aaron Tholey a little bit, and his program was kind of dying down because people can't afford it and stuff like that. So at the end of the season, we merged Vintage and Chaotic and became Vintage Paintball. That's where, Dusty, Hank, and I spent the remainder of our years. And then, last season, I think it was Chicago, if I remember correct, Cody. I think Vintage kind of folded, and we jumped on board with Cody, and been here, and this is kind of where I plan to stay.
Perfect. That gives me right into, from your perspective, Cody, exactly explain to us all how you set up your program and what the goal of it is.
So, since 2008, I've played in the pro leagues. It's been back and forth for different ones, NPPL, PSP, traveling all over the place. And you always like to play locally, right? The Siege has been like kind of my home field for all this time. And, going there over the years, I ran into many different people, many different teams, all that kind of stuff. It was kind of funny. Most recently, in the last 2 or 3 years, guys would tell me how hard they're grinding, and they got to get to the pro level and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, well, what are you doing? Well, I play every Sunday, and I'm like, yeah, that's not quite cutting it, dude. In my coming up, before I got on Aftershock, I would play 3 times a week, every single week. I would ride my bike to the paintball field because that's all I had, and drill nonstop. So over the years, playing professionally, you get to know so many different people and so many different ways of things that they're doing. I have a wife and 3 kids and all this kind of stuff. So a lot of stuff going on in my life, to the point where I finally got to really want to give back to paintball. And with Travis and Infamous and wanting to start a brand, we're like, it'd be perfect to have a team repping all of our stuff. So playing locally has always been a thing I did. I never would take a lot of time off or anything like that. I go drill and all this kind of stuff. And I've seen 100 different faces who are all like, oh, I want to become a pro paintball player.
Right.
And, it takes a lot more than that than just saying it. So
yep.
With the program and going to the next level and everything like that, we just I got enough local guys who really kind of pushed me to do it. And then I'm like, you know what? Let's do it. So
right.
took the time, took the sacrifice, and it's been awesome. It has been great to like grow it to the amount it is, and watch these guys grow, from guys who've never played a national event to a team that won World Cup last year in Division Two. You know,
Right.
it's amazing, and my probably my pride and joy is my Division Three team right now, but they are all guys who I knew who literally played their first local paintball tournament, and now were a part of a D4 team last season who made Sunday 3 out of 5 events, I believe,
Yeah,
and
3.
you know, they came out in Vegas and finished fifth, sixth,
5th.
fifth place. But they're gelling. You know, things are great. But you know, it's truly cool to see like guys who you've seen that have literally played their first local tournament to competing at a national level, and
Right.
you know, the sky's the limit with them.
Yep. You have personal investment in those players because time, effort, energy, experience, it's all wrapped in there. And it's a reason to take great pride. Now, Ryan is one of the guys who've seen a lot in and out of paintball. What's the perspective of being a player in the system?
It's great, honestly. And I don't, like I said it before. I think that, you know, Cody hasn't got enough credit yet. He's only had this for a year, and I think what he's done in the Midwest for this system in a year has been something special. And I think it's just going to go up from here. And we've gotten so much more interest since last year. I mean, how do you can't really say anything negative about playing for a professional paintball player. You know, he's there for us when we need him on and off the field. He really helps individual players hit those marks that they need to hit. You know, he pushes us just enough, but he doesn't hold our freaking hands. He doesn't baby anybody. So,
Right.
you know, the program is successful because he's driven it to, you know, to where it is, just, you know, just being a good mentor to everybody, basically. So it's easy to play for a guy like that. It's really not hard. And the guys love playing with the dudes. It's been, like I said, I've been out of the game for so freaking long, man. Watched all my buddies go play pro paintball, even play with Cody, and you know, and it's been good to get a new group of friends, a new group of buddies that you like want to ride and die with on the field. So I honestly can't speak enough volumes about both the program and both the teammates that we have right now, and I think we have a good set of talent going, and it's, like I said, it's just going to get better.
Absolutely. Kyle, how about you? What's your perspective?
You know, it's a great. I hope my mic is working better now, but it's a great opportunity. You know, Cody really takes the time to work with us when we're at the field with him, and really work on the basics and the fundamentals and break everything down, point after point, practice after practice. And we'd rather spend the time doing that than, you know, lining up with us. It's easier for him to watch and give feedback. And his ability to watch 10 players play on our, you know, our indoor field in the winter for the majority of the time is amazing. How he can pick out such intricate details and make us all individually better. But you know, Ryan really touched on it. He teaches us how to, you know, figure it out for ourselves. You know, playing pro at national events and having, you know, 2 or 3 divisional teams, that's a whole lot of responsibility. And, you know, he's taught us how to be successful on our own. You know, there's plenty of times at, you know, at national events where out of the 4 prelim matches you get, he's only there for maybe 1, depending on the schedule lineup. But he gives us the tools to win, even outside of his presence. And that, I think, is the biggest part of, you know, what he contributes to our team, is he believes in us and he believes in what we can do together. You know, it creates a great opportunity for people to meet players and guys that you wouldn't have normally met and bond as a team and really grow together. So I think that's just been a great opportunity, great experience, and, you know, great exposure into paintball.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Great explanation. Mike, you've had the pleasure of playing under 2 different pro players, being Aaron, who I know as well, and Cody. And is it one of those things where you just keep adding different perspectives to your game, where it seems to blend and all make it better? Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, I think I get what you're saying. It does. The best thing about it, though, is I can say with both the camps is that the coaches, they want the feedback, right? So they can't see everything. All they do is they draw up the play and that's it, right? The first 3 seconds of the game, and then you play ball. That's all it is, right? And if we're not giving that feedback, they're not able to critique it, right? To adjust the game plan so that way we can counterpunch whatever they're throwing at us. And I think Aaron and Cody do a great job of that. And I think Cody particularly did that really, really well at World Cup for us. I mean, I think on Sunday we lost, I think 3 points out of the 5 games we played, 3 points. So, and the other thing is that like with Cody, it's a family aspect, right? It's all family. Hi, Sam.
I came in at the right time.
Right at the perfect time. Couldn't have planned it.
It's
yes.
It's a family aspect, right? So it's not just like, hey, we show up on Sunday, we drill, we play ball, we go home. It's Cody checks in on us. Like I got a text from Cody last week. Hey man, how you holding up? How's everything going? Like he cares about us personally, not just on the field, but off the field also. Yeah. Sam, hey, is there anything I can do for you? Do you need anything? What can we do for you? What can I get you? So like the whole family aspect really, like, I think that's where a lot of this bonding stuff comes from with Infamous, because they foster that. Sam didn't even know me, and she comes up and says, hey, what do you need? What can I do for you? And like, that's something that not everybody does.
That's
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
love you
She's a
all.
great coach too.
Yes.
When Cody's not there,
Yeah,
she's the
she
best.
coached. She was the backup coach, man.
Yep. She's screaming at the gate, 5 seconds, 2-1-2. There's a home. Like
Hot route,
Sam is
hot
just
route.
involved as
Hot route! Watch out!
as Cody is, you know. So, but Cody and Aaron are very, very similar when it comes to coaching styles, and I think that's what made it a very easy transition for me from one program to another.
Sure.
So you got two dudes that are super passionate about paintball, man. So
right?
it's
And
natural.
Quick sidebar: Tholi and I played pro paintball together.
In Shock.
After
Three different teams though.
Oh.
We played X Ball Shock, 7-man Shock, and then we also played Canadian X Ball together on the Kingsley Falls Kamikazes, which we ended up winning the Richmond Cup and all got sweet rings for it.
That's fantastic.
Aaron Thole used to stay at my house way back in the day.
But that's the family attitude. Like Thole would drive all the way down from Minnesota, and we'd go to practice for Shock the next day. But I was Milwaukee, so hey, Thole, come crash here Friday night. Split the drive up and make life a little easier. So, you know, and Aaron, you know, I was a broke kid when I first started playing pro paintball. Like the definition of broke kid. Yep. And Thole was one of the guys who took me under his wing right away and taught me a lot, showed me a lot, because he was you know, at that time probably at least a 6 or 7 year veteran. I'm not exactly sure exactly, but you know, different mentors, different people throughout the years have taught me many things. Something that Castro touched on is like when I coach players at an event, I really control only 10 seconds of the game. At the most, you know, Mike touched on that as well. It's just, I need to train them and coach them off the field, not field layout practices. When we're at the Siege, when we're at any local field playing paintball, that's when the coaching really needs to come into effect. Right. You know, you got to teach them how to become a really good paintball player, so that at the event, at playing paintball, you learn. So, yes.
Now here's kind of an interesting perspective, because it layers on different coachings, different things that you bring in to your playing career. Who are some of the best field aware players that you've been around, Cody? That because you've played, you know, considerable amount.
Modern day, like if you want to talk about current
anything is in play, but you can start current and work your way back if you'd like.
Well, some of the young bucks like Castro will only know modern day players, but obviously Berdnikov, the bear hunter from the Russians, he has amazing field awareness. The way that he plays the game and picks up things, it's truly amazing. He'll play 17 different bunkers in a single point. moving back and forth and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
Rainey Stanzak with X Factor, he's also another very good player in that standpoint, in terms of improvising and field awareness and playing off of different things that happen. Early on in my career, obviously playing against Oliver,
Yep.
he had that killer instinct at the right times, and no matter what team he was on, whether it was Dynasty or Ironman, he would be in the right spot at the right time.
Mm-hmm.
Those are obviously some just key names right off the go right here. When I was playing along with Aftershock and Infamous for my first year, Damian Ryan also had very good field awareness. He would pick things up and use his unique playing style to just really have some of the best years of his paintball career on Infamous. So
Right. And then it kind of, from Ryan and Kyle and Mike's perspective, what have you taken away from your short time with Cody right now? Because you're all competing nationally in the NXL. Why don't you tell me where that comes from? You can start, Ryan. I'm sorry.
I kind of missed half the question. You want to know?
Nope. It's like you're all competing at a national level in the program. You have a give and take with the pro coach. Everybody's interaction is going to be a little bit different. What has affected you the most this season?
I'd have to say, honestly, just getting back to it and changing fundamentals, man. The game changed a lot in the last 14 years. Just certain things, the way the game's played. This is my first time ever playing X-Ball was this last year. So getting into that format was a learning experience. It was a big curve, and trying to shake the rust off of everything that was there before. And Cody's been really good about letting that happen naturally and just kind of encouraging the style that I have to play to either evolve one way or stay a certain direction, but do it right. So it's been good to have an outside opinion when I grew to play in teams back, and then we didn't have coaches. We just went out and got our ass kicked by Aftershock every weekend, and it was pretty much how you learned. And you didn't have divisions besides rookie or novice and amateur. You got pro draws at the tournaments. You got your face pushed in, and you became a better paintball player because of that. But having the technical aspect of it, and the game's so technical now that it's really been a learning curve with me, with Cody to help. And that's probably the thing I've gotten most out of 1 year of playing paintball again is really those fundamental things that are essential to any player nowadays in this game.
So to touch on that, Ryan, he came to the tryout. Never seen this kid before in my life. He's got a Towley headband on, which is one of my good friends and old teammates.
RIP Jason.
Yeah,
Yep.
I mean, Jason Towley Kaloff is just a passionate paintball player.
Absolutely.
And love the kid to death. But Ryan came from Sudden Impact, and he mentioned which is Chad Boucher, who plays on Houston Heat, and Ian Martin, who is one of my old teammates on Aftershock.
Yep.
And I'm like, all right, let's see what this kid's got. Speaking about Ryan at the tryout, and a lot of guys who were like part of my local clinics and local scene who knew me really well were like, wait, you want to pick up that kid? He doesn't like shoot left. He doesn't really like shoot left-handed or anything.
Right.
Dude, I was shooting a mechanical CVO too.
And he was at this tryout, and it was pretty funny. I'm like, dude, he's got it. Like, just don't
That's
worry
fantastic.
about like don't worry about that stuff. I see the way he plays the game, and
Right.
he's got the instincts and stuff like that. And what Ryan touched on is like the fundamentals. When we practice in the wintertime, I tell all my guys, like, we are at the field before the door opens, and we're out there. Like, the first thing I do with every one of my guys is like, hey, let's snap shoot. Let's see what you got, and we're out there, we're snap shooting, we're drilling, we're doing the right things to make yourself a better paintball player fundamentally.
Right.
It's not a hangout, we're here working and we're playing the game. So
Absolutely. And Mike, from your perspective, going into a new division, what has that growth process been for you in the Infamous camp?
To be honest, Cody really focuses on the fundamentals, and he like I mentioned before, Cody's very similar to Aaron, and he puts you where you're going to do the damage and you're going to be able to do your job, right? So I don't want to say he builds the team around you, but he plays it to your strengths, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if something's not working somewhere and we need something else done somewhere else that he thinks you can do, you're going to go that way. So you need to be able to play every spot and be ready on that. I think all 8 of us were at home some point or another during Vegas because we just weren't hitting that shot.
Mm-hmm.
So who's going to hit it? It literally was a circle. Who's going to hit it? Okay, Hank, you're up. Mike, you're up. And it just went down the line until we found the guy that was hitting the shot.
Yep.
But like Ryan said, it's fundamentals with Cody, right? A lot of people take that break off with Vintage. It was okay after Cup, don't touch your gear, you're done. We don't touch our gear until February. It was like the second week in February. Then you knock the rust off. With Cody, it's like, hey, cool, you can take a week off or 2 weeks, and then it's right, we're back to it. Fundamentals. We're out there drilling, we're sliding, we're snap shooting. The first time I played Cody one-on-one was absolutely terrible for me. Terrible. I hated it because I hadn't played since I don't even remember when. Right. And literally I peeked out one time and smack right in the face. I was like, this is awesome. This is going to be great. And he's all about the fundamentals. So that's the biggest takeaway, is that he makes you grasp those fundamentals to grow you as a player. Because at the end of the day, he wants to see everybody succeed. He would love to see everybody come through his camp, go into the pro scene. And that's his goal. He wants you to go as far as you want to go, and he's going to help you along the way. So you just need to tell him, hey, where do you want to go? And he's going to critique you, and he's going to get you there, but you need to be able to take that feedback and apply it.
Makes complete sense. And that goes into another perspective of it, Cody, how your organization is set up. You have D4. Do you have a D5 squad a line as well?
No, D4, D3, and semi-pro.
Okay. Now, are you looking at adding anything, or are you just rolling with the D4, D3 semi-pro?
No, if anything, I'm looking to actually downsize, to be honest.
Okay.
I only wanted to have 2 lines this year because I really enjoy the one-on-one working with the guys, right? I really enjoy the one-on-one teaching and stuff like that. This year, I just had so many guys who seemed valuable and seemed that they really wanted to learn. So I took on an extra line. And at Vegas, it was a little hectic and stuff like that. And I'll be honest, I wish I could be at everyone's games of every day, but it's impossible. Right. So that's why I'm also a firm believer in, I got to teach them on off practices, got to teach them the right way. And I do have really good leaders on each team. Ryan is a leader on the semi-pro team, and he was unable to play the Vegas event, but he was at all the practices, helping and, demonstrating and stuff like that. Castro, he's pretty much like the go all, tell all. He's kind of like my right-hand man for any organizational purposes, for the D3, D4, for pretty much the whole program, to be honest. And that really helps, though. I have leaders at every level. Corey's always been a leader. Dusty and Max Gerhard, we picked up from the past Boom Pro program. The leaders help contribute as well. I get the one-on-one. And of course my wife, right? She puts up with it all.
Assist there, yeah.
Yeah, she puts up with it all, but she was actually coaching the Division 3 team in Vegas because my matches were at the same time. She was in the pit every time, and we bring Infam to a whole different level, right?
Yeah.
Just the whole brand, the whole name, Infamous and Infam, we are living proof. So
I think Mike said it best too, and it goes all the way from your Infamous program, Travis and all the dudes helping us too. It's just, we really do try to help each other on and off the field as much as possible. And I think that has led to a quicker gelling in the past, just year that we've been together. So it's a big part of it.
It's also really funny too. Like, I call my guys, I text with them, I talk to them and stuff like that. It's kind of funny when I call someone, they're like, "Wait, am I in trouble? Did I, did I do something wrong?
Did I miss did I miss a practice or something that I didn't know about?
How much money do I owe you?"
Right.
Yeah, and that's not the case. And like my daughter just had her 9th birthday, and Ryan actually drove out with his wife and dropped off some balloons and stuff like that during this quarantine thing. It's really a full circle paintball family, and that's what we live and die by.
Yes, and that's that's one of the things that's great about this sport. You develop great friendships, and it transcends into family, and that's a testament to the people in the game. Now, one other thing that I was going to touch on was, Cody, you're playing 10-man classic events.
Yes,
correct.
So much fun.
Yes. Yeah, Ryan. Yes, tell. We'll start with Cody, and then go, because I want to see how many of you guys from Wisconsin are playing classic events. I have reasons to ask, but we'll start with Cody. Cody, go ahead and tell me how you feel.
So it all started with ICC, obviously. All right, take that back. We did a Fight Club 10-man as like a team bonding on Infamous and stuff like that. And it was a lot of fun. We played ICC, and then got involved with ICPL. And Infamous as a whole just loves it. Like, Travis is the biggest endorser. We'll be at X ball practice, and it'll be like 10-man's life. He'll drop those all the time, and it is a total mix up and so much fun. And it just, to bring the mechanical paintball style back and see some old time faces and guys you haven't seen in 15, 20 years is so cool. I'm a huge advocate of it. And then just to play the different fields,
right.
I've been playing professional paintball for 12, 13 years in the X ball scenario, and to play the ICPL with some of the X Factor guys and our teammates, it's beyond fun. We have so much fun playing, and then obviously winning's sweet too. So bringing home the gold in the last Florida Classic here that you got to film up for.
That's actually what we're watching right now. Is we're watching the finals game raw video from the ICPL, which you won. So I thought it was fitting to share that with everyone. Hello, little man.
Hey.
Yeah, we got kids here.
Yes, it's a family event. It's perfectly fine.
There's Dad on film right there playing some paintball.
Yay!
What I think about talking about the infam is, it's not only, Cody talks about, all the old guys people he's played with for years and years, but, I'm relatively new. I've only been playing for 3-4 years or so. And, just last year, we got to meet a bunch of guys who play with Brett's infamous team from New England. I see John in the chat, but here's a new generation of guys that are younger and newer to paintball and starting into their lives. And we're talking about getting together for an amateur team for the next, 10-man event. So I think we're growing that infamous family, because we'll have the different generations. We'll have Travis and Cody, and the guys they're pros and been doing it forever. And then we've got the amateur guys, and there's guys in New England, and there's guys in Canada, and there's guys in Wisconsin and Illinois and Minnesota, and bringing all those guys together for a newer, like a revitalization of the infam, a younger generation of it. It's just going to keep growing our great family.
That sounds great to me, because I'm a huge fan of the classic format. I'm trying to convince my guys to jump on the bandwagon, but that's a little bit harder sell. But again,
John plays.
Yeah. Yes.
We played, yeah, me and John.
That's fantastic. And that's again, that's the reason why I was asking, because I gotta pass you guys anyways to get to camp. So,
Yep.
one of the things that we need to address is what's going on with the virus and everything like that. I think that you guys have fields in the area. Will you please let us know what fields are in your area, who to support when all of this ends up shaking out?
So obviously our main sponsor is the Siege Paintball. They're based out of Big Bend, Wisconsin right now. Doug DeBack is the owner there. Huge advocate of all paintball, right? From birthday parties to scenario games to tournament paintball. He really just wants people playing paintball. And he's shut down right now. He doesn't have any resources to continue going because of the stay-at-home order. He's following all the guidelines for essential business, and he's just not working. So if anyone was able to get out and buy a gift card or anything like that for them, that'd be great. He has a premier facility, indoor, outdoor, several fields. And it's a tough time for a lot of people with the virus going on. So one of the he's obviously our main sponsor, main field we go to. We had to break out. We had to blast camp with Virgil, who I recently talked to this week on Monday actually, and he's in the same boat. Shut down and hoping to open as soon as possible. But paintball's gotta stay strong. I see a lot of people having that post up and everything like that. And that's awesome.
Right. The Paintball Strong movement, and that's trying to help each other out. Welcome, Jonah and Pops. We're gonna call you Pops because that's how it was. Welcome. Why don't you give us? I'm sure you've been listening or paying attention. Why don't you give us your perspective of how it's been getting into the infamous organization?
Just kind of like what my thoughts are on it so far.
Yes,
or?
please.
Okay, for sure. Now I like the dedication that Cody requires of us. He requires a certain level of commitment to be on this team. And kind of like what's already been said before, once we get to a practice, we start before anybody else is on the field. He wants us there to check it out. He wants us to run these drills, these one-on-ones, kind of these snap shooting drills, because technical abilities and kind of working on your form and like these very basic, traits. He wants us to hone in on the basics, and make sure we have those really good, practice. Just the fundamentals is something that he really emphasizes, and that's something that is really expected out of us. Other than that, it's been a good transition from program to program that I've been through. The only other program that I've noticed like a commitment level similar to this would have to be the vintage program. But it's good being in a program where it's expected that we come in, we're here to work, we're here to put in the time. And it helps us move to the next level.
Right. And from your perspective, Steve?
I just think I echo the comments that Mike had in terms of it being a family establishment and more of a nurturing camp. I've been on the opposite side where we talked about it with the Outlaw program and Vintage program. Every camp's a little bit different, and there's not one right way to do it, I guess. At the end of the day, as long as the results are there,
right.
Every camp has got a different style. I think this style is gelled pretty well for us. I like the closeness of it because, as you and I have talked about, a 6 to 8 hour travel time and being right there, it's kind of a breath of fresh air for us from that standpoint.
Right. It makes complete sense. Now, Cody, what are your future plans? If you had to, adjust, I know that it's changed because of the current climate of things, but what do you see in the next year or two for the organization?
Status quo. I still want to teach players. I still want to help them grow. In the pro ranks, what it is today, uh, pro teams are always looking to pick up guys. My hopes and dreams of Wisconsin Infamous going pro is 1%. It's just a fact though. Typically, whole teams do not move up. There's one team that moves up every year. And that's always subject to change, of course,
Right.
depending on the league rules and everything.
Right.
But when I play locally, I like teaching. I like playing, and I like having good competition to play against while I'm here locally. So the program has been a blessing in that sense. And then us just playing paintball. It's going to be a nonstop thing. And whether one year I have 3 lines, one year I have 2 lines, one year I might only have 1 line. But I want to continue it for years and years and years because it's a ton of fun. Guys who are very grateful, very appreciative, and I see them grow as paintball players and as individuals. It's really a cool thing. So the future is whatever it brings, and we're just going to keep playing paintball. That's all there is to it.
And that's a great sign for the state of Wisconsin and the area, which again brings me into the next topic. How, from a geographic location, how far do you have players coming in to experience the Infamous camp?
Canada.
Yeah, we have Canada, we have Michigan, we have Chicago area, we have northern Wisconsin, west side of Wisconsin. We have kind of anything. I think our farthest driver is about 9 hours, but we're open to everyone. I like to keep it all local, but the Canadians, for instance, they were like, "Hey, I just really want to learn from you, so we're gonna keep driving. You tell us when to be here, and we'll be here." So,
right.
How can you tell that? How can you tell them no?
Right. No, if they want to do it, if that's their dedication, then come on in and I'll help.
And that's awesome. Yeah.
Yep.
So they're more than welcome. They're awesome guys, awesome players. And that's the plan. Anyone who wants to learn and wants to be dedicated, if they want to make the practices and play paintball, they got a home.
That's exactly what they need and what the area needs. And thank you very much for that. What a direction where I would go is saying, I want to give you an opportunity, all of you an opportunity to thank people who might normally you haven't had the opportunity to thank. Doesn't necessarily have to be sponsors. It can be sponsors, but let's start with Ryan. Ryan, is there anybody who you'd like to help on this, to thank on this journey that you've taken?
I'd just like to give a shout out for sure to Jason and John Rettmeyer. Not a lot of people may know who they are. It's Sudden Impact Paintball in Central Illinois. I mean, I wouldn't be, where I am today probably without them and paintball. We all have that story. Those 2 or 3 dudes that were in my wedding is my best men. I've met through paintball, and I got to see a bunch of my buddies go on to play pro, and Voltage guys, and Chris
Right.
Sosine and Ian and Davey Simmons is still out there killing it for San Diego Aftermath. And yeah, I'll give you a shout out too, buddy. But for real, it's I'll give all those guys that I've ever stepped on the field with. Kevin Rugard, who I lived with for 3 or 4 years in Chicago, played with Cody for a while in Legend, Damian Ryan, Tally, everybody that's been in the Midwest. And it's a big paintball community. It's always going to be there. Nobody can walk away from this game. So thanks to you for doing this. This has been such a great thing. It's good to hear all the old stories and stuff. So
yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
I mean, thanks to everybody, honestly.
Yes. And then how about you, Kyle? We'll go right to you.
Perfect. Yeah. I mean, I got to thank my biggest fans, my parents. They're, they're the ones who said, if you want it, go after it, go do it, put in the work. And, they really taught me the work ethic that, I needed to, make this successful. I started playing when I was almost 30 years old, and a lot of guys were, Jonah's age or younger, things like that. So, she said, that stuff doesn't matter, just go for it. So having the support of my parents who, come to local events and come down to Florida and watch me play it, that's awesome. They're probably not watching, but all my coworkers, if they are watching, they put up with me leaving. They put up with me telling them, hey, look, I'm going to be completely checked out. Don't call me, don't text me. I got work to do when we go, when we leave for events and practice and stuff. And they respect that, so thanks to them. And then lastly, Cody, family, everybody, but, all the other pros I've done a lot of the clinics. I did the BKI combine a couple of times. I've had a lot of experience with pros, and, to everyone out there, I see John Krasow in the chat, but I think that the pro paintball community is really doing a good job of fostering these people that take it seriously about trying to get better and grow their game. And it's, like, Cody said, Wisconsin is going pro, 1% chance, truth, but for individual players, there's definitely a chance there. And I think that the support of all of the other pros and, people you meet along the way that just believe in you, and the guy who comes off the field and says, hey, this is how I shot you. Your elbow was sticking out. Thank that guy. That guy's the one who's helping you, and then give it back. Next time you're at the field and you shoot a kid because his elbow's hanging out, be that guy and say, hey,
right.
You know what? I saw your elbow pop out. That's how I knew you were going to be there. And keep paying it forward.
Yep, absolutely. How about you, Mike? Oh, am I the only one who can't hear Mike?
Can you hear me now? Hello.
Now I can hear Mike.
There we go.
We're live.
We are
Dave Breed from Apocalypse Paintball.
Oh,
he took a chance on us, I guess you could say sponsoring, giving us a home to play at while we are all a bunch of, dumb kids. Didn't hold us against it. He did everything that we needed from him to help us grow as players. Nick Scar. I don't know if any of you guys know Nick. Got to thank him for bashing my skull in week out and making me learn, what to do and what not to do. And, Cody and Sam, Aaron Tholey, just everybody that I've come into contact with in paintball has touched me in one way or another and helped me grow. John Krasow, I met that dude at Brew City, and he was playing D5, and 3-4 years later, and now he's playing pro. He doesn't realize it, but he touched me also, just showing his dedication. So, but I think the biggest thing that we all need to realize is that we need to support not just our sponsors, but we also need to support like local fields around us too. If you have an off weekend, why not go play some wood ball or something like that and support those that helped you coming up, right? I wasn't always sponsored by Doug. I love playing at his field. He has a great field, premier indoor facility. The only indoor facility that's within a 4-hour drive for me. So, for him to take that and give us that opportunity to play during the wintertime, right? That's a huge burden on him to take on. So the least we could do is pay that back.
yes.
There's a lot of people that do that indoor facility stuff, and, it becomes the death of them and their business goes under because of it. So I think we really need to support that, more in the wintertime in the Wisconsin area. Biggie can attest to that. I think he ran, if I remember correct, he ran Stinger for a while, was the manager there. At that time, I was just a young kid bagging groceries at the grocery store. I couldn't afford $65 paint. Nope. I was that guy that was, hey, where can I find white paint online that has a ball fill? The ball fill of white, and does it look like what they were shooting last week and say it was from last week?
Yeah.
And because of stuff like that, it ruined the field. And obviously I'm older and I realize that now, but you don't think about those little things at the time. So when we come out of this whole COVID thing, I think we really need to make sure that everybody's out playing, as much paintball as possible. And we're supporting all these local businesses to show them that, hey, we do appreciate, what they are offering to us.
Completely agree. Couldn't be said much better. Jonah and Pops, I know that you guys haven't been here very long, but I would like to actually pass on thank you to Steve. Steve, my roommate just delivered the package at my doorstep. So after we're done here, I will be enjoying that. So thank you very much. But Jonah and Steve, people that you would like to thank.
I got you. Well, just been quite a journey so far. I mean, Kyle and Mike really hit it on the head though. Like anybody who's locally been able to help out, whether it be like Commando Paintball, Siege Paintball, or like Vintage or
Is anyone else getting the
Same.
robot
Copy
voice?
audio.
Yeah. It's a little bit choppy, Jonah. So I'm just going to give you a second to regain yourself. And
like all these different places.
Oh,
there you go. There you go.
Is that better now?
Yep.
Much
Perfect.
better.
Much better.
All right. I think my sister's watching Netflix upstairs.
Yeah. Yeah.
A little bit rough right now.
No, that works.
But no, like I was saying earlier though, anybody who like Kyle and Mike really hit it on the head though. Anybody who's at a local field, hire like players helping out players, the field owners helping out other players, just to get them, involved in the sport is really what makes the difference. I mean, whether it's Siege, the Plex, Vintage, or even like just those like Commando. Like when I was young at like playing at Commando when I was on Wisconsin Evolution and some of those like the lower divisional teams like D4, D5. I remember looking up to Derek Moonster, who's the field owner of Commando Paintball. His son Brett Moonster was playing on Competitive Edge, and back when they were like playing the national series, like national circuit. I'd always be kind of looking up to him because he was like when you get to these fields and you're a younger divisional player, just kind of getting into it, you kind of look for like the best player in your area to kind of, drive your, your motivation or see like, how can I become like this guy or how can I learn from this guy? And I think one of the first few people that I really learned from was Derek Moonster. And just wanting to thank those people that would, take a chance on me for, hey, how do I do this? Or, how do I do that? How are you able to make these moves? And for people, yeah, well, that's what I said. But like, for those people to take the time out of their day, out of their practice, to step aside and to help that, is really something that I couldn't think more of. And John Kurzawa was another huge proponent of that too. When we had our like little clinic session, he was able to kind of work with us one-on-one. That was really helpful. And then even when I was on the Outlaws, when we'd be practicing at the Plex, when we had like Houston Heat, Boom, Russian Legions, all those other teams there, he would still be out. You'd still be out there able to, I'd have a question. Hey, how did you play the center on this field? And he would still be able to take the time to, come forward and help me out with that. And then Dave Chung was another one too. He took the time to coach like our D2 team at the time. And was able to really, take time out of his time from watching his son play on the Outlaws to help us as players. And, I really have to thank those people that, go out of their way to help younger divisional players kind of, find their way. And, really couldn't do it without him. And Cody's another big proponent of that too.
Absolutely. It's fantastic. And we'll wrap it up with you, Cody. Anyone who you would like to thank?
Start to finish, right? You started playing paintball at the Siege Paintball, and Doug, who started a field and rented a Tippmann and went out and played paintball for the first time. Then I went with Team Siege and played a bunch of local paintball tournaments at Apocalypse Paintball, which Mike mentioned, and Stinger Paintball after that. So, which led me to Chicago Aftershock and the national series and pro paintball as a whole. But from Chicago Aftershock to the Outlaws to Infamous, and Jeremy Salm, who's been one of my longtime coaches, definitely a bold individual, but learned a lot. Learned a lot from him, and always a friend at heart. So, and now I'm with Travis, who has opened up a whole different playing style and development of paintball, which helped lead to this program.
Right.
And from coming up and learning all the different things from so many different people, I'll never be able to, I got Kurzawa here mentioning, but he was a guy who I taught, and he's on Seattle Thunder now, and a great dude. Talked to him a couple times this week. But paintball is endless giving,
Yep.
Just give as much as you can and take in as much as you can. So forever grateful for the sport.
Absolutely. That's fantastic. And it's one of those things that is kind of the common message that I like to keep with my programs is the stories, how people got into it, how paintball has affected your life in a good way. Usually the only negative about it is we're addicts and we can't get enough of it.
Our pockets are empty.
Right. And the pockets are empty. Yes, absolutely. But we keep coming back because it calls to us and it gives us all what it is that we need. And especially through this time, it's one of those things where, the more that we come together, the more that we talk about paintball and what's going to happen on the other side of that, of this, what's happening now. I think that everybody's better for it with a positive attitude. So with that, what I'm going to say is I welcome all of you. Some of you have been on the show before. Cody, we discussed about doing something in the near future with the Infamous team. So I want to thank you all for being here. Welcome you back. If you can, if you think of something, feel free to send me a message and we'll meet out here and do it all again. So I want to thank all of you very much for your time.
Thank you, Brad.
Yeah, thank you, Brad.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And you guys can hang out here. I'll just end the broadcast and we'll chat at the end. So for everyone out there who can't follow us in, have a great day and we'll do this again soon. Thank you.
Thank you.